Everyone talks about how amazing Colorado is, myself included, but very few people get into the actual cost of living in Colorado in 2026. And some of these numbers might actually have you reconsidering your move to Colorado in 2026. Hi, everyone. My name is Taylor Ratliff, and this channel is Moving to Colorado. And so, as you might have guessed, this channel is meant to be your guide to moving here. And I'm also a real estate agent here in the state. So, if you have questions on relocating, if you want help looking into different housing markets, if you even want help finding different places for you to rent a property first, if you have any questions, just make sure to shoot them my way. I'll make sure to put my information up on the screen right here. And then also make sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell so that you can stay up to date every single time that we post another video. And without further ado, we're going to hop into the real cost of living in Colorado in 2026 and what most people don't tell you. All right, so the housing costs are going to be the absolute biggest thing that you should, the big kahuna, the main gig, the main star of the show. The housing is going to be what you really want to focus on, because this is where a lot of people get very surprised and hung up, and they move here and they realize that they're actually not able to pay for any type of the lifestyle that they wanted to lead, because they are paying for, all of their money is going to a roof over their head and to food. So when you are moving to any state, honestly, you should definitely be thinking about the housing costs, whether that is renting or buying. But specifically in Colorado, when it comes to renting, you are going to have significantly different costs when it comes to the suburbs or the city. So places like Thornton, Colorado, North Glen, Westminster, Federal Heights, all of those areas that you have no idea about, those areas are going to be where you find the more affordable apartments, condos, townhomes, even single family homes for you to rent. That's where you're going to find that. The closer that you get to the big name towns and cities like Denver, Boulder, Fort Collins, areas like that, it's going to be more expensive for you to rent, just because the demand is a lot higher. Everybody wants to be there. Everybody wants to rent there. And then the closer that you get to the mountains, the better views that you have, the closer you are to things like walking trails and amenities, the more expensive it is going to be to rent as well. When it comes to renting, inventory is actually very, very important to consider, because right now in December of 2025, there is a high inventory of apartments and places for rent. And so what building companies are doing, and the property managers, what they're doing is they're offering incentives for people to get into units. And so it's not rare right now for you to see things like, if you rent with us, you'll get 2 months free, or 1 month free, or the first month for $1, things like that. They're trying to get you in with incentives because the vacancy is very high and they're trying to get more people in the doors. When demand is very high and inventory is low, you're not going to see discounts and promotions like that. So right now, if you're thinking about renting in the state of Colorado, it's very favorable to you, because we do have deals and discounts like that going on right now. It's also very important to consider the season, because in spring and summer, even fall, it's going to be more expensive to rent and start renting a place. Whereas in winter, there's less people moving here. There's less people that are starting a lease in the middle of the winter. And so it's going to cost you less per month if you are somebody that chooses to move in the middle of winter. If you are thinking about buying a home in Colorado when you move here, there are a few things that you should really consider. And the first thing is that if you are buying your first home in Colorado, if you're a first-time home buyer, you should really understand that your first home, your starter home, that entry-level home, is not going to be the forever home. And it's very important that if you are somebody that is not able to bring a cash offer, or if you're not able to be financed very high, it's very important that we get your footing that we get you in the market so that you can start with a home that you own, that you are paying monthly on a mortgage, that you can actually start building some equity. And throughout the years, your home is going to also appreciate. That way, when you're ready to move into the forever home, you actually have a little bit of equity and a little bit of money that has been saved up through real estate prices going up. And so I see that that's very favorable for my clients. Oftentimes, the home prices here are they're a lot higher than other places in the country. And so that dream home, that forever home, might actually be out of reach for you right now. And so I don't ever recommend that you should rent while you save up the money to buy that forever home, because prices are going to always go up and real estate is always going to go up as we continue to move throughout the years. But if you're able to get into a home that might not be that dream home, you're able to have that property appreciate and go up in value throughout the years that you're holding it. And then you're able to trade your property for one that is more expensive that you're able to afford throughout, with the use of the equity and the appreciation. So if you have questions on this, definitely reach out. But I always recommend entertaining the idea of buying now, especially if the reason why you're not buying is because the home that you want is a little bit out of reach. It's better to start with something that is a little bit less than what you exactly want than to let the market kind of pass you by and for homes to get more expensive and for you to kind of miss your opportunity on getting in and starting to build wealth through the property that you have. I also want to note that resale properties and new construction is going to be a completely different ballgame. While you have more modern type style and taste, aesthetic, and more space, more of an open floor plan, finished basements, walkout basements, a lot more amenities, I would say, in the neighborhoods. When it comes to new builds, you actually have smaller yards and no mature trees. And when you're working with resale properties, I often find that they have more character, you could say, or charm. And you actually have very big backyards and mature trees. So it definitely is a pros and cons when we're getting into the resale or new build and which way that you should pursue based on the type of lifestyle that you want to lead. And if you want to have a home with a ton of charm, then you should get a resale property. But if you want to have your perfect home that checks all the boxes that you have picked out all the things in, then it might be worth it for you to get a home started while you're doing the relocation process out to Colorado. So resale and new construction is something that you should definitely have the conversation on. I'm also happy to help you have that conversation and to kind of guide that discovery, but make sure that you reach out. Resale and new construction is going to be a completely different ballpark. The other thing that I want to mention when it comes to housing is that the location is going to determine the price. If you have incredible views, if you're closer to the mountains, if you are in one of the pocket neighborhoods, if you are very close to a walkable downtown, your real estate prices are going to be more expensive. If you are close to a busy highway, if you are close to just different areas where there's a lot of congestion and a lot of traffic, and maybe it's not as pretty, or especially when you are getting to the east side of I-25, property values do go down because you're not as close to the mountains. So location. If you have a property that you're interested in that is in a very highly desirable school district, then the property is going to be more expensive than one that is in a less desirable school district. Counties are also very important. Boulder County and Weld County are both in Longmont. Longmont is actually split right down the middle between Boulder County and Weld County. And while the same home can be the same price, the same build, everything, your monthly payment could actually be different for those two properties, because Boulder County actually has higher taxes than Weld County does. So location is so important, and it's really important that you have somebody that is here, boots on ground, that understands the differences in the different neighborhoods and the different cities and areas that you're looking in, so that we can really guide you and help you focus your attention and your energy in the areas that are going to fit the type of life that you want to lead. And so that you're not wasting time really focusing on Denver if you're somebody that doesn't want to drive a lot, or if you don't like congestion, or if you don't like city life, you shouldn't be looking into Denver. And then if you're somebody that doesn't really care for hikes and you want as little maintenance as possible and you love the city, then you should not be living in Evergreen. So I'm really here to be a resource for you and to really help you take the time out of it, take the stress out of it, take the bad energy out of it, and create a great experience. I'm here to help you have a great experience when it comes to relocating to Colorado. So make sure that you reach out. My information is over here. And then a little shout out again, make sure that you like, subscribe, and hit the bell, because we're going to have more videos just like this that are helping you figure out if Colorado is going to be the right place for you. And if you've already figured that out, it's going to help you really nail down where you're supposed to be based on who you are. All right, so taxes in Colorado are often a big misconception because we actually have a flat income tax. And so what that means is that the state income tax is a flat rate. And this often surprises people in a good way, because as of 2025, it's sitting around 4.4%. And this means that everybody pays the same rate. There are no tax brackets when it comes to income taxes in Colorado. And if you are someone that's coming from somewhere like California, New York, New Jersey, Hawaii, I also want to say Oregon, maybe even Illinois, you are often going to pay less when it comes to income taxes. If you're coming from a high tax state, Colorado's flat income tax is usually lower, and it's more predictable, so that you can figure out what you're going to be taking home every year a lot easier. All right, so when it comes to the property taxes in Colorado, they're actually a lot lower than other places in the country, but the values are high. So with that being said, even though there is a lower rate, the property values in Colorado are significantly higher than other places in the country. And so with that being said, you typically have higher property taxes here because the property values are higher. It is very important to know that even though your tax rate is low, your total bill is going to depend on the value of your home. All right, utilities and monthly bills in Colorado. Here are some things that people don't factor in that they really should, and that's heating and cooling, especially because when it gets colder, when it gets hotter, you're going to be paying more for the electricity and for the energy that you're using. In the colder months, it's going to cost more for you to heat your home. In the hot months, it's going to cost more for you to keep your home cool. So it's very important that you note this and that you are budgeting for these swings in cost. Water is also important. You want to make sure that you are budgeting for this, because oftentimes it does cost more for water here in Colorado. And then HOA dues. Oftentimes in Colorado, people are very surprised when they're looking at something like a $500 monthly HOA cost when they are buying a condo or buying a townhome. Sometimes we're even seeing very high HOA costs with single family homes. And I have actually even seen HOA costs as high as $1,200 in Denver, Colorado. So it's very important that you are budgeting for this and really focusing on areas that are going to fit what you have budgeted for. Trash and recycling is also going to be a cost that a lot of people don't factor in. And then if you are a remote worker, you should really listen up, because if you're going to be living in the rural mountain areas, you're going to have to pay for good Wi-Fi, and oftentimes it's going to cost more for those rural areas. Utility costs are actually very on par with the national average, but you do want to make sure that you are keeping in mind that sometimes in the winter and in the summer, you do have those upswings in cost. Transportation and commuting is actually a very, very important thing that you need to consider when looking at the cost of living in Colorado. And when we're looking at gas, it's actually very reasonably priced. It's December 2025 right now, and I've actually seen gas as low as $1.94. We're sitting at like $2 to $2.50 around the state. In different mountain areas, it's going to be more expensive, but that is just how it is. That's how it is everywhere. We do have toll roads in Colorado, and that's going to get expensive if you're not on the local express toll account that's going to give you discounts, but you can actually avoid those tolls. Usually when you are traveling, you're able to take a route that avoids tolls, and I have found often that when I'm in a hurry, I will take the toll on I-25 sometimes, and I end up right next to the same vehicle that I passed to go on the toll. So sometimes if you just take a breath and get through the traffic, you actually end up in the same place, not very far after, if not at the same time. So you can definitely avoid that cost when living here. It's very important that you note that insurance is likely going to be a lot more expensive here in Colorado. There have been a lot of claims for damage, for total losses, for car theft. We've had a lot of crazy weather, hail damage, tornadoes. We've had some crazy stuff, and we also have a lot of drivers that are on the road, and you have broken windshields that come up with the rocks when you're following too close, and when big trucks are driving on the highway, and there's just always something going on. And so it's very important that you understand insurance is going to be a big cost when it comes to having your vehicle here in Colorado. And the reason that is because it's costing more for insurance companies to fix vehicles and to pay out for the total losses. And we do have a lot of weather that can kind of get a little dicey here. And so your insurance is going to be more expensive in Colorado than it is in other states. It's probably going to be very comparable if you're coming from somewhere like New York or Oregon or California. But if you're coming from a southern state or a state that has a lot less people, then you might be in for a rude awakening when it comes to the cost of car insurance in Colorado. Registration is also a big cost that often shocks many people because it can be very, very expensive for new vehicles and for higher value vehicles because it's based on value and age. And so because it's based on value, age, and weight. And so it often shocks people that are getting new cars, or if their cars or trucks are brand new and they're very expensive, your registration might be more than $1,000. So definitely keep that in mind if you're getting a new vehicle. If you're moving here with a very high valued vehicle, you want to be prepared. Your registration might be expensive. All right, so the groceries, dining, and daily life expenses are important to think about. Grocery prices are going to be more expensive in Colorado than they are in a lot of areas. We went on vacation to El Paso and the Lubbock area in Texas for Thanksgiving of 2024, and we were very shocked at how getting the same quality ingredients at the store cost us about half as much as it cost us in Colorado. And so we were very surprised. I don't think we were shocked, but we were definitely surprised at how much the cost of goods and the cost of groceries was in Colorado. And then after the pandemic, with inflation and COVID and all of that, it's not rare for you to see your grocery budget being around $300 to maybe even $600 every single month for a two-person household. So definitely keep that in mind. If you're coming with a lot of kiddos, if you're coming with a big family, it's important that you budget for how much it's going to cost for you to feed your family. Something that you should also be aware of is it costs a shit ton. It costs so much dang money to go out and eat now. It costs so much money. For you to go out on a date and get an appetizer and you both have a meal, you have a dessert, and you each have one drink, you are well over $100. And that's not including the tip. So it costs a lot of money to eat out in Colorado. And your daily life, there's a big coffee culture here. And so there's a lot of cute coffee shops, and there's always something to do, and a festival, and just there's always something. And so sometimes it can be easy, very easy. It's almost like you take a breath and you are spending money sometimes. So definitely make sure that you are budgeting for the lifestyle and the daily expenses that you need, and also that you are really keeping in mind how much it's going to cost for you to feed yourself here. And keep in mind that if you are eating out, that the mom and pops places are also always going to give you the bang for your buck, and it's also, in my opinion, going to be the better quality food, the food that is made with a labor of love. And if you're not into staying in and cooking your own food, then the mom and pops places are definitely a recommendation on my part. But if you're looking to be cost effective, then eating in and getting groceries is always going to be your best bet. But keep in mind, groceries in Colorado do cost more than the national average. Healthcare, childcare, and the cost of schooling is something that you should keep in mind. Health insurance is often higher in Colorado. Medical and healthcare costs are also above the national average here in Colorado. And then doctor and dental visits are going to cost more here as well compared to the national average. Your childcare costs. Childcare is honestly expensive everywhere, so make sure that you are budgeting when it comes to that. But also keep in mind that there are some employers and recreation centers and different gyms that actually offer on-site childcare as part of their perks for members and workers. And so they are doing a little bit of incentives in different areas for people that do have kiddos, but make sure that you're budgeting when it comes to childcare. If you have kiddos, you really want to make sure that if you're moving here for a better life, you are budgeting how much it's going to cost for you to take care of those kiddos. School costs are also very important, because if you are going to be putting your kiddo into a public school or a private school, a charter school, it's going to cost you a different amount. And so it's very important that you do your research and do some digging and make sure that you understand what it's going to cost you to put your kids into school. There are a few hidden costs that people do not expect when moving to Colorado as well. And one of those hidden costs is going to be the cost of the lifestyle that you want to lead. So do not underestimate what I am saying. If you are somebody that loves the outdoors, it sounds like it's going to be free. It sounds like it's going to be affordable. It sounds like you're moving into nature's backyard and you're not going to have to pay in order to do the things that you want to do. And that is wrong, because if you're not somebody that just wants to go hiking or take a walk, if you want to really niche down and get into those activities and do different things and go to different resorts and really partake in the different activities and the lifestyle, the outdoor recreation lifestyle that people live here in Colorado, then it's going to cost you money. It costs a lot of money to go skiing, to go snowboarding. If you want to get into mountain biking, those bikes are expensive. It's actually really crazy how expensive those bikes are. I was very surprised that fly fishing rods can be in the thousands and thousands of dollars just for the stick. And so if you get into fly fishing, it's going to cost you money. If you get into river rafting, it's going to cost you money. And so just be very, very get ready for a big cost when it comes to the lifestyle, because the worst thing is that you move here, that you underestimate it, and that you think that you've got everything figured out. And then the second that you want to go do something, it's breaking the bank, and you have to really figure out, do I want a roof over my head? Do I want to feed myself? Or do I want to go to the concert? And that's not a life. That's not a way to lead. That's not a way to live. That's stressful. It sucks. Like that's not life. That's not a good life in my opinion. And I don't want to get you moved out to Colorado if that's what you're going to be doing. It's really important that you budget and that you understand these things, because if you don't, that's what you will be doing. So it's important that you understand that the activities are going to cost money. And if you love music, if you love the music scene, it's going to cost money for concert tickets. It's going to cost money for the festival tickets. It's going to cost money for Renaissance Fair. And it's going to cost money for all of the things and trinkets and food and games and all of the stuff that are at those festivals as well. So just make sure that you really understand it. There's a cost associated with the lifestyle that you want to lead here. And there's a reason why Colorado is said to be so expensive, is because you do have to pay to have the lifestyle that you see people bragging about and being so excited about and staying in Colorado for. But just understand that it does come with a price. It does come with a price associated with it. So it's going to be an incredible experience, and it's going to be one that is rewarding and one that allows you to live an increase, and one that you're like, I'm so freaking happy that I moved to Colorado. Or it can be one where you get here and you realize, holy moly, it costs us more to live here than we're making, even though we're making 2 to 3 times as much as we were where we came from. So cost of living is very important. It's very important that you do your due diligence, and it's very important that you understand all of these different points and all of these different costs and how they differ in all of the different neighborhoods and cities and areas, because one city is not the same as the other, and one neighborhood within that same city is not the same cost of living as the other. So if you want help moving here, if you want help relocating here, if you want help going over your budget, if you want help going over the cost of living in different areas, I'm here to be that resource for you. I can't wait to get you moved here to Colorado. And I want you to just understand at the same time, Colorado is a destination state. Everybody wants to live here. That's what makes it so expensive. The activities make it expensive, and being able to do something constantly, being able to have everything at your fingertips, being able to have constant daily breathtaking views is what causes this cost of living. But a lot of people find that the quality of life and the experiences and truly the beautiful nature and scenery that they're able to experience here in Colorado is worth the associated higher cost. So if you have questions, reach out. I'm here to help you. And until the next video, I hope everybody has a lovely Christmas. Bye.